As Miles McBride continues to recover from his surgery and injury, I have to ask the question, has he played his last game as a Knick? We'll dive into that on today's show, but show him some love. Hit that like button. If you appreciate having Deuce McBride as a member of the New York Knicks, it's been awesome to follow since that second-round pick out of West Virginia. Show him some love. Hit that like button right now. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and I am very scared that Miles McBride has worn a New York Knicks uniform for the last time. We learned on trade deadline day that he had to have surgery on a sports hernia, and that was going to keep him out for reportedly 6 to 8 weeks. We have kind of learned since then that that would be a very quick turnaround for him, and with his contract situation looming, could this be his last season with the Knicks? We're going to dive into that as well as show you why I believe he is the biggest swing player on this roster alongside OG Anunoby. But let's set the stage with this. To Stefan Bondy, who covers the New York Knicks, tweeting this out on February 10th. There was never an official announcement, but McBride did have that surgery on Friday. That Friday he is referring to is February 6th. If you were to just err on the side of caution, giving Deuce McBride that full 8-week timeline to recover, he would return on April 3rd against the Chicago Bulls, and there would be 5 games, including that one, left in the regular season. I guess I'll just say this. I have a hard time believing 8 weeks from that Friday that he had surgery, he's going to be in game shape and he's going to be ready to return to 5-on-5 NBA regular season action. Look, I hope I'm wrong, but this is a serious injury. He had to have surgery, and I'm not so sure that he is going to rush to get back. Maybe he does. I hope he does. The New York Knicks are definitely going to need him. Shout out to my guy Papa Left on Twitter. Go give him a follow at _ the six man. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/@YourKnicks. He tweeted this out a couple of days ago, saying some people in the know of the situation feel that the 6 to 8 week timeline on Miles McBride's return is a tad bit optimistic, and that it's not a given that he will return that fast. 10 weeks is more realistic. And 10 weeks would be Monday, April 13th, the day after the regular season ends. So it's important to note, the play-in schedule is April 14th to the 17th, and the playoffs start that Saturday, April 18th. I guess I'll say this. We know the New York Knicks medical staff is always honest. They are always presenting the correct information. They didn't tell us that Mitchell Robinson was going to be day-to-day before we learned he wouldn't play another game that season, or that Julius Randle was going to be reevaluated by doctors in 2 to 4 weeks, and then he would never play another game for the New York Knicks, or OG Anunoby was going to be fine, and then he had to have elbow surgery, and then he was out for, 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe I've just been burnt by the flame of the New York Knicks PR staff mixed with their medical staff, but I have a bad feeling about Miles McBride and this sports hernia injury that he suffered. This is serious stuff. This is your core. And I just don't see a way, and look, I hope I'm wrong, that he returns again in the regular season. Now, once the Knicks get to the second round, or they get to the conference finals, or when they get to the NBA finals, that can open up a different book. But, man, I really do think this could be the end for a couple of different reasons. His contract, but also playoff basketball is a lot different. And you have to be in a different shape to play playoff basketball, especially at the level that McBride has played this year. Do we think after an 8-week recovery timeline of a sports hernia injury that he's just going to be able to have no ramp-up period and no time to get back in shape and he's just going to be ready to play playoff basketball? I sure hope so. And look, I hope Miles McBride is coming back. Outside of OG Anunoby, McBride has been the player that I think has most positively impacted Knicks' success this year. And the numbers, they say that. Look at his offensive, defensive, and net rating this year. This is relative to the numbers, second, sixth, and first, relative to the players in the Knicks rotation. Second in offensive rating at 121.2, just behind Jalen Brunson. Number 6 in defensive rating. And he has the best net rating of any New York Knicks rotational player this year. When he is on the court, the Knicks outscore their opponents by 10.3 points per 100 possessions. You also can just see his impact in the stat sheet every single night. He's shooting a career-high percentage from three on a career-high volume. 6.9 three-pointers attempted per game this year, and he's knocking down 42% of them. He's gotten that field goal percentage back up to over 43%. He's averaging a career-high 13 points per game. He has been a difference maker for the New York Knicks this year. Think about it like this. I went and did some research on the Knicks' best five-man lineups this year. I categorized it as lineups that have played more than 30 minutes this season. 4 of the Knicks' 6 best five-man lineups when it comes to net rating features Deuce McBride. When you move it to 4-man lineups, 5 of the Knicks' 8 best 4-man lineups feature Deuce McBride in net rating. And then when you move it to 2-man lineups, 4 of the Knicks' 6 best 2-man lineups feature Deuce McBride. I'm trying to show you how much of a difference maker he has been. The Knicks' best 2-man lineup this year is Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride. When they are on the court, they are almost outscoring their opponents by 14 points per 100 possessions. I think it means something if you are going to be without the player that best maximizes your franchise player in Jalen Brunson. When Brunson plays around with McBride, he plays his best ball. When McBride plays with Brunson, he also plays his best ball. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's a chess piece. He is someone the Knicks can use in a multitude of ways. So we've already talked about how he might not come back this year due to injury. We haven't seen any official reporting on this. This is me reaching out to some people, connecting some dots, and being burnt by the injury liars that are the New York Knicks. And with his contract situation, where he's going to be entering the final year of his deal next year for just $3.9 million and him looking for a major pay raise, he may look to force a trade, number one. And number two, the Knicks may need to use him in a trade piece because he is going to be one of the Knicks' most valuable trade chips. Think about it like this. Shout to Steph No, his website, NBA Salary Models.xyz. It does an awesome job of projecting the value of a player contract-wise, factoring in their on-court production. The production that Deuce McBride has given you, his model projects Deuce to make almost $24 million in 2026, or that is what he's worth. And they need to be worth $25 million the next year, and $26 million, then $27 million, then $28 million. $21 million more valuable than what the Knicks are paying him at $4.3 million. They know a big payday is coming. Can they afford a big payday? And let's say worst case scenario happens. The New York Knicks lose in the conference finals, they lose in the NBA finals, or they lose in the second round. They are going to look to upgrade this basketball team. And one of the easiest ways that you can do that to sweeten a trade package is to include Deuce McBride for just $3.9 million. Of all the trade chips that the New York Knicks have, Deuce might be the one that is most valuable to other teams. He's cheap for a year. He's young. He continues to get better. He makes a positive impact on both sides of the floor. And throughout his Knicks tenure, when he plays, the New York Knicks win. And this organization, as we have learned, led by Leon Rose, is very forward-thinking. We just did this with Julius Randle. They did not get him a contract extension, therefore he was traded. It's happened a couple of different times. The only time that it hasn't been happened is with Mitchell Robinson, which I am hoping that they do give him a contract extension, and hopefully he continues to stay healthy. But if you don't think that the Knicks are already thinking about the future with or without Deuce McBride, having to pay him big money or having to trade him for something, I promise you, those conversations are going on right now. Because the question is, can the New York Knicks afford a 4-year, $85 million contract extension for Miles McBride? And that might be on the low side of things. They're having to factor that in. So when you talk about his injury, his timeline to return, it's like the last 5 games of the regular season. giving you essentially 2 weeks before the playoffs start. Can you fully get back in NBA shape? I hope so. Is he going to be back? I don't know. I have no reason to think he won't, except for the past history of the Knicks training staff. Then you factor in him potentially being moved this summer. Has Deuce McBride played his last game as a Knick? I hope not. I love watching him on this team. Following his story from a second-round pick that couldn't make a shot to being one of the best shot makers on the team. It's been awesome. He's a difference maker. He impacts winning every single night. But when you look at all the tea leaves out there, it is a little bit scary. Show him some love. Deuce McBride. He'll always be a Knick. Type those twos. Show him some love. I'm hoping he returns. And if he does return, it's going to be a very positive boost to this New York Knicks roster. If you do have a healthy McBride, you are legitimately one of the deepest teams in the NBA. A bench unit of Alvarado, McBride, Shamet, Diawara, Sohan, Robinson. Like, that's 6 guys off the bench that would be in almost any team's rotation. You already talked about the talent of the starting 5. If McBride does not return, that means people are going to have to step up. Alvarado's got to be even better than what we've expected so far. Landry Shamet needs to continue to knock down shots and compete on defense. I'm sure Diawara is going to have to play in the playoffs. What's going to happen with Sohan? I don't know yet, but Mitchell Robinson is going to have to continue to bring it every single night on defense. I think it kind of went under talked about with McBride getting hurt because it was trade deadline day. But, man, not having him out there, that's a big loss for the New York Knicks. Make sure you are following me on social media. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @MarshallGreen_.